When Yellowstone debuted on network television on Sunday, it was seen by more people than ever before. After premiering on Paramount Network, the popular Western melodrama had its CBS series debut on September 17, just days before star Kevin Costner finalized his acrimonious divorce. But the sitcom will need to make some dramatic modifications because it's going from a cable channel to one of the three major broadcast networks. Yellowstone is currently running in an edited version, which omits some of the more severe or controversial moments that initially suggested the show's edgy tone, according to Country Living. Due to its original TVMA rating for violence, profanity, and nudity, the program had to be toned down in order to pass censorship. CBS estimates that a staggering 80% of its viewers have not yet seen Yellowstone, despite the show's enormous popularity via Variety. Since specialized cable networks have a far smaller viewership than broadcast television, a much greater number of people may eventually see the show's neutered version than its original and censored edit. Television portrayals of drug and alcohol use are restricted by broadcast standards, in addition to the usual concerns about violence, nudity, and foul language. Country Living was informed by a CBS representative that Yellowstone had to undergo changes in order to be approved for broadcast on the network. Though showrunner and creator Taylor Sheridan writes and directs most of the original show, they insisted that the changes were minor and would not compromise the integrity of the program. Automated dialogue replacement, or ADR, is frequently used in movies and television shows that must censor profanity and other unacceptable language. The procedure, which is confusingly non-automated, calls for an actor, ideally the original star, to enter a sound booth and re-record speech so that it may be dubbed over the lines that have to be cut. Rather than using the customary method, CBS will only mute offensive language instead of dubbing it over. It's not clear if this was a stylistic decision or if the original performers couldn't be reached for a change in speech, or if the network refused to pay them to come back. There will be considerable on-screen violence, therefore CBS will also need to make some aesthetic adjustments in addition to the easily overlooked muffled words. It will also be necessary to tone down moments that are too sexual. Yellowstone contains sporadic nudity as well because it was initially broadcast on cable. They must be eliminated entirely in order for it to comply with broadcast requirements. Even with the modifications, the popular program will probably still be too mature for a lot of younger audiences. Its CBS broadcasts now have a TV-14 DSLV rating, which denotes that the show contains strong language, suggestive content, sexual situations or activities, and violent scenes. Following Sunday's series debut, which will show off just how much has been cut, fans and interested viewers may watch the rest of the episodes on Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS. The NFL doubleheader show will not air on Sunday nights, according to the network, which also mentions that the timing may conflict with football broadcasts. It was revealed shortly before Yellowstone's new run on CBS that the show's star, Kevin Costner, who will not be back for the second half of Season 5, and his representatives had spent a large portion of their summer vacation negotiating a return to the show with Paramount and showrunner Taylor Sheridan, amid the ongoing WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. The 68-year-old actor, who has been brutally divorcing Christine Baumgartner in recent months, reportedly even expressed a desire to continue working on the show for a 6th and 7th season, provided that Sheridan, who has written every episode since Season 3, was open to giving him another shot. This information was reported by Puck News. But after making a number of requests during a catastrophic phone chat with Sheridan, Costner's flurry of negotiations apparently came to naught. According to reports, the showrunner couldn't comply with Costner's deal-breaking demand, which was to have veto authority over Sheridan's scripts. However, there is also a moral death clause in his Yellowstone contract that purportedly severely restricts how his character John Dutton might be killed off. Since he was scheduled to direct the first episode of his 4-part Western film series Horizon at the same time as Yellowstone Season 5B, Costner had been in negotiations with Paramount earlier this year regarding his requests to shorten his work schedule. Now that major production on that movie has concluded, Costner has also asked for more autonomy over the scripts, especially when it came to the development of his character's story. But in May of this year, the producers of Yellowstone, 101 Studios, and the film's distributor, Paramount, called off the talks and plainly stated that Costner would not be coming back for Season 5B. Matthew McConaughey will reportedly join the cast in a new lead role as the series instead moves into a newly titled continuation. Two sources claimed that when Costner was barred from the second half of Season 5, his producing partner Rod Lake contacted MTV Entertainment Studios COO Keith Edgar and Paramount Media Networks to request an urgent meeting in New York. Though Costner allegedly also saw his return to Yellowstone as a vehicle to promote his Warner Bros. Feature Horizon, Lake made it obvious that he was desperate to conclude his original run on the series and give viewers what they were yearning for. It seems that Lake made some headway with Edgar, persuading him to put Sheridan on the phone with Costner so that they could resolve their issues. Sheridan was willing to rework the scripts for Season 5B after the strike, provided that he and Costner could come to an agreement. Sheridan had previously produced scripts that outlined Costner's character in detail. Early in July, the two supposedly had a phone conversation, but the conversation damaged their already tense relationship. It was stated that Costner requested more money and less time for filming, speaking in a friendly tone. But it was his insistence on seeing Sheridan's scripts beforehand and having the power to accept or deny them that really set the writer and director's blood boiling. While Sheridan has faced backlash for supposedly overcommitting to his numerous projects for Paramount and Paramount Plus, which he primarily writes, directs, and showruns, he refused to give up creative authority to his star. Sheridan was apparently sided with by Paramount, which promptly terminated the talks following the ineffective phone call. But according to reports, Chris McCarthy, the CEO of Paramount Media Networks, was still willing to explore for a means to bring Costner back, and he thought that if the writers' and actors' strikes continued, they would be able to reach a compromise. But when Costner said in court on September 1 at a divorce hearing that he might file a lawsuit for the wages he had anticipated for Season 5B, he lost all goodwill with the network. However, there were rumors circulating that he had already received payment for the first and second seasons of Season 5, and that he might have been alluding to 2 more seasons he intended to shoot in the future. Reportedly, Costner felt that Paramount had betrayed him by offering him a package to stay on for Seasons 6 and 7, but a production insider said that the studio had formally withdrawn its offer. Reports now suggest that Sheridan's plans to kill off Costner's character could be a violation of his moral death contract clause. The clause prohibits the death of his character John Dutton in any way that would bring disgrace to his character's family, a move that would undoubtedly dishonor the JFK actor as well. Sheridan would not violate the agreement, according to people close to the program, who also denied that Costner had ever read any information about the showrunner's plans for Dutton's termination. Despite Paramount characterizing the moral death clause as an anomaly, numerous movie stars have endeavored in the past to promote the best possible image of their characters. The Wall Street Journal revealed back in 2019 that the actors Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, and Jason Statham, who star in the Fast and Furious series, have contracts that stipulate that any fights they participate in on screen cannot be too unfairly biased in favor of the villain. Additionally, filmmakers are prohibited from showing the actors suffering serious injuries, presumably out of concern for their self-esteem and masculine image. Looks like Paramount has become accustomed to the concept of a series without John Dutton, even though it still wants to have Costner on board. Costner and his character were apparently hot subjects on social media during the network's run of the show, but by later seasons, which also happened to be the times when more supporting characters were introduced to the ensemble melodrama, they had significantly decreased. The fact that Matthew McConaughey is supposedly prepared to join the cast despite not having a formal contract for the new show presents another barrier to Costner's comeback. Since Sheridan already has a number of Season 5B scripts without John Dutton, production on the program could begin as soon as the strikes by writers and actors against the AMPTP are settled.